This is the gauntlet many Keene State students have to run every day they come to campus.
There are a lot of times where I find that cars don't stop for me.
I've been involved in a couple close calls. I know my housemates have too. This car is literally stopping at the last possible second.
KSC geography professor Dr. Christopher Cusack recently led a study focusing on pedestrian safety here. The study revealed the majority of people walking here do not feel safe crossing the street.
60% of people have indicated, at least their own perception was that they've almost been hit. It is, I think, fortunate that we've only had one student be struck in the crosswalks there.
Now, the city of Keene is interested in making this area safer. There's one good example of what could be done just around the corner. The proposed improvements to Main Street's crosswalks would make them look a lot like the ones here on Winchester Street. The project would extend the curbs, raise traffic islands, and add flashing lights to indicate when someone is crossing the road. The Sentinel reports this project will cost nearly $200,000, but for many, that's a small price to pay for a sense of safety.
I'm optimistic that putting some money in would make it, look appealing and have a nice design and also truly improve pedestrian safety.
As of now, any improvements to Main Street would not begin until the 2023 fiscal year at the earliest. Peter Dubois, KSC TV. Dozens of members and supporters of KSC Pride gathered on the Student Center lawn Saturday to celebrate the LGBTQ community. The event began with music and face painting and ended in a campus-wide march to spread the group's message.
Be proud of who you are, be loud about who you are. Even like Sam said, be obnoxious about it if you have to, because if there was ever a time to stand up for who you are, it is now.
The group planned to take the march down Main Street, but weren't able to get a permit in time. Instead, they rallied all over campus. One member of KSC Pride says it's important they make sure to have a strong presence in the local community.
We're here to let people know that we're here. We want people to make sure that that there is a presence. We know it's there.
These students say they do know of some instances of harassment on campus, but on the whole, they feel safe and welcome here. KSC is a place they can be themselves and grow as individuals.
There's so much personal development, identity development, right? Just growth as a person, as coming through the years of your career in higher ed. That evolution happens all the time, and at the individual level as well as the institutional level.
My message for everybody is just be nice to people. We're still people. We just love different people.
If you'd like to know more about the LGBTQ community at Keene State, you can visit the Office of Multicultural Student Support here on the second floor of the Student Center. For KSC TV, I'm Peter Dubois. Going into Sunday's highly anticipated festival, there were a lot of unknowns. Community turnout, student behavior, and bad weather were all topics of discussion. Despite the rain that did come, kids and their families came out as well to experience the return of a city tradition.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot of happy faces today, so everybody that was here was having fun and smiling.
This year's event was scaled down compared to past pumpkin festivals that brought thousands of people and thousands of pumpkins to downtown Keene. Tim Zinn says it's not the size of the festival that's important.
We're thinking about what could we do, bring something back simple, bare bones that would get everybody back on the same page again. So it seemed obvious, it's always been kids, kids are kind of the bubbly energy behind the whole thing. It's not that adults don't enjoy it too, but it's the smiles of the kids' faces that make it so magical, I think.
There were concerns about the festival being scheduled on Halloween weekend and how that would affect student conduct. Yet, there were reportedly no considerable problems throughout the weekend.
We had very, very few incidents. It was quieter than a normal weekend. And I think that is a credit to the students because they were all paying attention to and complying with the requests that the college made, specifically President Treadwell, about representing Keene State in a positive light.
Although there were no major incidents, campus safety and police were prepared.
We had additional patrols, extended hours, and brought in 2 uniformed officers from UNH Friday and Saturday night, and we were responsible for just making sure that everybody on campus was safe and dealing with issues as they arose. Additional patrols, just more face time with students, being out and about as a visual presence for good.
Despite the poor weather, students volunteered to help break down the festival Sunday night in the rain. They called it the Pumpkin Dump, a combined effort to clean all the pumpkins off the square and tear down the setup.
I think that it's a great idea. I think that it really helps the community kind of get over what happened 4 years ago. And I think it's just a lot of fun to get people to want to be involved with the town that they go to school in.
I think it's great. What I heard on WMUR was that they had 50 student volunteers that were going to be there to help. I think that's a great representation of the college in that not only are these students, not only are they residents, but they're also participating in the activities of the city of Keene, and they're doing so in a positive manner. I think it speaks very, very highly of the students who want to say, yeah, we're members of this community and we want to make sure that everything comes out right, and we want to be a positive influence to show that, this was for the kids of the SAU. And they wanted to show those youngsters that we're Keene State, we're proud of being Owls, and we do good stuff.
Yeah, student behavior is actually remarkably better. There's big cultural changes in Keene State. It's been a process. I can tell you, this morning we were here early, and all of a sudden students started showing up, and all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we had like an army of people, and everything just started flowing after that.
Although most considered this year's event successful, there is no guarantee there will be another, and organizers aren't sure yet if they'll request a permit from the city next year.
I don't know what tomorrow holds or next year. I think we savor this for a little while and enjoy it, and maybe just keep talking to one another, see what the future holds. But I'm just excited for the whole community, Keene State and College included, and the students. I really thought you guys were going to step up this year, and you did.
I think overall it was a really nice weekend, and hopefully they'll do it again next year.
From the positive reaction of the Keene community on Sunday, it seems plenty of people might like to see the festival return again in 2018. For KSC TV, I'm Peter Dubois. This is a KSC TV news update. I'm Peter Dubois. Vermont resident Nathan Carman will appear in court next week after allegations of killing his grandfather, John Chocolos of Chesterfield. The Sentinel reports the lawsuit was filed by Chocolos's 3 surviving daughters who believe Carman shot and killed his grandfather for a share of his $40 million estate. Carman denies these allegations and has not been charged or arrested. The semi-annual Keene State College Job Fair was last Thursday. The Equinox reports employers from a variety of businesses gathered in the Spalding Gymnasium to talk to students about prospective job opportunities. Money from the event's sponsors goes to the programs put on by the Academic and Career Advising Office. U.S. Senator Maggie Hassan visited Keene Tuesday for a tour of Smith Medical, a medical device manufacturer. The Sentinel reports Hassan also participated in a town hall-style assembly where she stressed the importance of affordable health care for New Hampshire residents. Hassan is the former governor of New Hampshire. This has been a KSC TV news update. I'm Peter Dubois. Coming up next on KSC TV, hundreds of people gathered in Washington, D.C. as well as Keene for the March for Our Lives protest.
There's a new grading system coming to Keene State. How will it differ from the one the college is currently using?
And more details to come on a new food pantry right here on campus.
Those stories and more are next on KSC TV News.
Good evening and welcome to the March 29th edition of KSC TV News. I'm Peter Dubois.
And I'm Chloe Jarapito. Thanks for tuning in this evening.
Hundreds of thousands of people across America took part in the March for Our Lives over the weekend. The epicenter of this protest against gun violence was in Washington, D.C. KSC journalism major Justin Mahan was there. He shot this video on Pennsylvania Avenue. An estimated 800,000 people were in D.C. for the march. While that event was happening in the nation's capital, hundreds of people were gathering here in Keene for a local march. KSC TV's Grace Pecci was there. March for Our Lives advocates have called for another national school walkout to be planned for April 20th. That day marks the 19th anniversary of Columbine High School shooting in Colorado. The Key Road Plaza in Keene is up for auction. The plaza features stores such as TJ Maxx, Staples, and Petco. The Sentinel reports that the auction is planned because of a breach of condition of the mortgage. The auction is scheduled to take place on April 4th at 11 a.m. Another local landmark recently changed hands. We're talking about the Bruder House. KSC TV's Nick Busby tells us why the Historical Society recently bought the Bruder House from the college. If you would like more information about the Historical Society, you can visit the Ball Mansion on Main Street. The Conval Regional School District is getting a new high school principal. The Sentinel reports Michelle Voto will take over that position on July 1st, 2019. Voto previously served as a research developer for Conval's Applied Technology Center. Current interim principal Gib West will continue as principal until July 2019.
Stay about how students are making the most of their resources on campus.
We'll also tell you how Keene State is making graduation greener. You're watching KSC TV. The job market is looking up for those Resumania students and workers across the country. The New York Times is reporting the government's latest figures show 313,000 new jobs were added in February. That's the largest monthly job increase since July 2016. Coming up, we'll tell you about some record-breaking achievements for Keene State's athletes.
We'll also tell you about a leadership change for Keene's Rise program. You're watching KSC TV.
Keene State College sophomore swimmer Kyle Shattuck has completed his competition in the Division III NCAA Championships in Indianapolis. The Sentinel reports after Shattuck competed in 3 events. He swam the 200 individual medley, the 400 IM, and finally the 200 butterfly. Shattuck's best finish at the Nationals was 26th place in the 200 butterfly. That's all for this edition of KSC TV. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll be back next week at this same time. We'll see you then, and have a good evening.
This week on KSC TV News Magazine, Keene State College has been in the headlines lately as the school tries to work its way out of a deficit. Grace Kelly sits down with Keene State's interim president, Melinda Treadwell, to get the latest. Some parts of Keene have a history of flooding. We'll tell you about the issues that make flood control a challenge. KSC's Green Bike program is getting a silver medal. Find out why. And if you're leaving town for a few days during the holiday break, you'll want to hear from our experts about how to keep your place safe while you're gone. I'm Pete Dubois, and this is KSC TV News Magazine. Keene State College is facing multiple challenges right now. The college is working through a budget deficit, and that's further complicated by an enrollment slump. Over the summer, interim president Melinda Treadwell was brought in to begin fixing these problems. So far, she has reduced spending, flattened administration, and eliminated unfilled positions. Now the college is about to undergo an academic restructuring. The administration is also offering voluntary separation packages to further reduce staffing. KSC TV's Grace Kelly was able to sit down this week with President Treadwell to get the latest on the college's money matters. President Treadwell is planning to have another campus-wide meeting before the end of the fall semester. Mother Nature is hard to suppress. That's especially true when talking about flooding. Keene sits on what were former wetlands, and despite efforts to drain and channel those wetlands, flooding still happens. KSC TV's Catherine Glosser reports on the ongoing efforts to control Keene's water woes. You can find out more about the Public Works Department on the City of Keene's webpage. Go to ci.keene.nh.us. Again, that's ci.keene.nh.us. Once there, look for the department's page, then Public Works. You may have seen the new bike lanes all over the city. You may also have seen the green bikes all over KSC campus. KSC TV's Nick Busby shows us how all of this green biking is rolling up awards for clean transportation. McCarroll says that all green bikes that have been rented out this semester should be returned to the garage before winter break. As the year winds down, everyone is getting ready to spend the holidays with family and friends. But as you prepare to leave your home, there are some things that you should be aware of. KSC TV's Justin Mahan tells us what we should do for seasonal safety. Lieutenant Bates also suggests that wherever you go, to make sure that there is a smoke and carbon monoxide detector. If you are feeling nauseous, have extreme headaches, and if multiple people in the room are experiencing the same effects, it is wise to go outside for fresh air and call the local fire department. That's all for this edition of KSC TV News Magazine. This is our final program of the fall semester. Thanks for watching, happy holidays, and we'll be back next year with more KSC TV News. I'm Pete Dubois.